And welcome back to another episode of the Miles Offside podcast, where we talk a little bit of football and a whole lot of nothing. My name is Chuck Bailey. You join me once again for one of our pre-season podcast specials, and this week is a bit of an interesting one because we're not talking just one team, but two teams. And the reason for that is because I wanted to introduce you guys to a fantastic couple that I know, bloody lovely people. Please welcome Aidan and Helen. How are you guys?
Yeah, we're good, thank you.
Good, thank you.
Good. It's great to have you on. Why don't you tell the listeners the teams you support / endure, so they can mentally prepare themselves for the thrill ride we're about to go on?
Endure is definitely the word. Yes, I support Everton, unfortunately. I can't really say anything more than that, can I? It's definitely unfortunately at the moment.
And how about yourself, Aidan?
I'm a West Ham fan, and looking forward to another one.
Interestingly, obviously, you have just had a child, 8 months old at the minute. How are you raising her? What's the intention? Who's winning this argument at the minute?
So, Aidan's family is much more football orientated than mine, and he has two nephews that are much older than our little girl. So we have hand-me-downs already from his side of the family. So unfortunately, I have already had to call Childline because she has been photographed in West Ham tops at the age of 8 months already. I don't think I'm going to get much of a look in, unfortunately. I think she is going to end up being a West Ham fan, which at the moment is probably the better choice of the two, so not resisting too much.
It's very interesting for a mum to call Childline about their own child.
I mean, it had to be done, didn't it? It's child abuse at that age.
I'm just sitting here very smug. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think what's interesting is, and we've had conversations about this in the past, is I guess up until the latest divergence, you could say West Ham and Everton were very much competing for the same types of prizes.
Definitely. I think it was fighting for the best of the rest, really, wasn't it? But
or mid-table obscurity.
It's kind of weird, isn't it? Because it's like you were really good and fighting for the best of the rest.
Yeah.
We were sort of at the bottom, sort of fighting for our lives, and in a couple of seasons it's kind of gone the other way. And
it's quite a violent swing. I mean, if we go back about 2 seasons, I mean, for you, Helen, as an Everton fan, you know, you had Ancelotti, you just bought a load of exciting players, things were looking really well, and I think there was a legitimate conversation about hitting that 7th spot, right? Yeah,
I mean, obviously when Ancelotti came in, it was really exciting. He was a proven manager for once, and we were hoping it was going to be the start of great things. I think after a lot of misbuying for a lot of years, spending a lot of money on has-been players that should have been awesome and then got to us and it never realised. But then he obviously left very abruptly, which pissed me off quite a lot, didn't it? I think I had quite a lot of rants because I understand why he went, but then also you've already proved yourself at the big clubs.
Yeah.
So if you actually want to prove yourself to be as good a manager as everybody's saying, take on the challenge. And we were a mess, and if he'd have sorted us out and got us, up into Europe spots, then he would have truly proved that he is one of the best managers, whereas I feel like he just took a cop-out and went back to a club that was already good, and well done, you've made a good club good still. Great, well done.
Go and win the Champions League.
I was going to say, I agree. Say that to his Champions League medal as well. But you are right. You are right. You are right. It's not a challenge. It's ridiculous. It's like we were talking about earlier about the Scottish League. It's like Brendan Rodgers going to Scotland, going to Celtic, when there's not even Rangers in the league, and you're going, oh, he's won 8-9 on the trot, and you're like, well, of course he did. Like, who else was going to win that? Like, no one.
Yeah.
So it's pointless. Like, yeah. So, yeah,
it's a bit of pain, and then obviously, if we take last season as a whole, I guess, started off with Benitez, yeah.
That was never going to work out, was it? Let's be honest.
It was never. How did you feel about that because of the Liverpool link?
Indifferent, I think. I think I was open-minded enough to give it a go. Obviously, again, he's won. He's won things with Liverpool, hasn't he? And when you're in that much of a mess, I'd take anyone that could have sorted us out.
Mm-hmm.
But a large part of Everton, which I think is what Frank Lampard's done well, is the fans and that extra man in the stands. And I think that's pretty much what managed to keep us up last season in the end, is because he managed to get him on side, and I don't think Benitez was never going to get that.
Yeah, I suppose Benitez was never going to get that. That kind of makes sense, and it seems like you're one of the few Everton fans who would say that you kind of wanted to treat it with a clean slate. But do you think the kind of the atmosphere you got at Goodison, obviously kind of the pinnacle of that, sadly had to come at the expense of my Crystal Palace team when we were fucking 2-0 up. But do you think that happened because of Lampard, or kind of in spite of him, and kind of maybe take that then as the staying up in total?
I think it was a mix of both. Obviously we're pretty well known for being fairly vocal fans anyway, and it being the people's club. And everything along those lines, so we were always going to get behind him and try and keep him up. But I think Frank managed it well to like almost put fuel under that fire and really get it to the level. Like if you saw the scenes from outside of Goodison, with all like the whole sky was just blue, and it was just like I think a couple of the matches had to be delayed because the coaches couldn't get through, and there were stories of like the coaches being rocked and everything because there was that many people in the streets welcoming them. So you can imagine for the players to come out to that, it is going to give you a boost. So I think it was a mix of both.
I feel also there's a bit Duncan Ferguson love in there as well.
Oh, hugely.
The pure fact of like putting out like beer tokens and stuff into the pubs and stuff like that for one of the games, and Duncan got it. Big Dunk, he gets it, and sadly he's now gone, but he gets it, and I think he would have told Frank about that kind of thing. I know Frank's sure he knows Everton, but like not to the extent of Big Dunk.
Big Dunk's got one of the family, isn't he? So,
Yeah, how are you feeling now that because he's completely gone now, hasn't he?
Yeah, he said he wanted to go be a manager, but I don't blame him. He did 2 interim slots. And
I think he did really good jobs both times.
He did, yeah. And again, you're taking over the massive shit show that we are, and he did all right. But then, when you are in a relegation battle, do you want that inexperience at the helm? But then I suppose Frank's not got that much more experience, so I think it's. I understand why they didn't give him the shot the first time,
right?
Because obviously then Ancelotti came in after that, didn't he?
Yeah.
But then the second time, I don't think he was ever going to stay after that, because it was probably a little bit of a kick in the teeth that somebody else relatively inexperienced got it, but they didn't want to give him a go. And he wants to be a manager. It gutted, but I think it was probably time for him to go.
Yeah, it's a bit of a shame. I really thought, genuinely, I thought they may as well have kept him on after Benitez, because you just saw. I mean, this often just gets ridiculed a bit in football as being a way to get through, but you could tell that the desire, the passion, all those buzzwords were there. And if there's someone you're going to listen to Duncan Ferguson.
Oh well, yeah, because otherwise he'll probably punch you in the face. So.
Probably. I mean,
allegedly. So.
No, there's literal. Prosecutions that have we're not stepping on dangerous ground here libelously. It happened. Man got arrested on a football pitch. Fantastic.
Yes.
So how about let's pivot briefly to not get too much into a pity party. Maybe give Helen a bit of a breather and a bit of a break, and think, Aidan, how do you feel about West Ham last year? I mean, obviously it's a fairly successful season, you've got to say.
Yeah,
really?
I mean, I'll start off with the good bits. We had a great European run. Mark Noble's last year, great to see him get to play.
Yep,
in
5
Europe.
tribute sessions in one game. That was good.
Yeah. I mean, the man's a legend. It's surreal in a way to watch your team be good 2 years in a trot on the trot. It's weird. I really don't understand it sometimes. I sometimes have to pinch myself and go, hang on a second. Like the first year, like we're in the top 4 for quite a lot of the season, and then the second year we were like top 6, and you still get sitting there every week going, "Oh, we're going to lose this week," and you're like, you beat Liverpool and people like this, and you're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
But the sad point to last season was January, just no signings, and when you really need a push to get into that top 6 and top 4, it was a perfect chance to do it, and we just didn't get anyone. It really feels like now, in hindsight, you can kind of see what's going on, especially with the signings we've made the last couple of days. But Moisey likes to get stuck on a player, and if he doesn't get him, that's it.
Okay.
And I think it was Brozier in January, and then Brozier again, or Breuer again, and now we've bought Schumacher, and yeah, now I feel positive that he's not doing the same mistakes over and over again of keep on going for this one player.
You had the old Jesse Lingard saga as well, obviously, didn't you?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's been a big saga. Again, obviously going to Forest, kind of out of nowhere a little bit.
Did
you hear what Jesse Lingard said about when Everton approached him?
I did not, but I'm happy for you to regale me now.
Apparently, we approached him just to see if he was interested, and he said that he'd come to us as a last resort.
I mean, it's fair. The problem is that you did also probably approach him in a dark alley, and he felt a bit threatened.
Yeah, we sent Big Dunk before he left, and
Jesus Christ! If Big Dunk would have dragged him there. Have you ever seen the video, just to get back on the Big Dunk glory, have you ever seen the video he sent to a fan about the guy's brother? He was doing his GCSEs and he wasn't necessarily doing so well, and he sent a request to Big Dunk to do a video for him. Did you ever see that?
No, but I can imagine.
You have to look at it. He's like, "Hello, mate. Yeah, see you. You stop passing about. Yeah, get the fucking results." And then he's like saying he's going to take him for dinner. And then he ended up taking him for dinner afterwards. It's a lovely story, but the whole thing was so threatening. It's just brilliant. Anyway, not to get too sidetracked. But yeah, so Jesse Lingard said Everton as a last resort. Wow. Yeah. But I think...
Apparently, yeah. I mean, obviously you don't know how true it is, but that's just like, well, you're going to get a glorious reception if you come to us now, aren't you?
Yeah, not so much.
It's going to be interesting for him to come back to the London Stadium, and
I don't think he's going to be welcome.
He's not going to be welcome.
I was going to say, there's going to be a bad reception.
I think he would have been a little... I think we would have been accepting of him coming back. That's fine, but we wouldn't have been like, oh my God, he's back. He would have had that last year, in the summer window last year, but I just don't think he played it well. No, he lost so much faith with the West Ham fans. Like, it's not gone well for him. And I mean, kudos to him. If you want to go sign $200,000 a week for Nottingham Forest for a year, then that's fine. Go do that. But don't then come out and say, first of all, West Ham was my first choice, and then you haven't
Everton was my last choice.
Then you haven't gone for money, and you're like, well, you have. That's the only reason you've gone. Like, I mean,
just own
no
it,
no disrespect to Nottingham Forest. I mean, I'm sure they're going to have a good season next year, but it's I mean, really, like from a personal point of view, I kind of want them to go down just so Jesse Lingard goes down, just because I just feel like shoving my big middle finger up there and he's going, "Fuck you, buddy!" Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I fucking hate Jesse Lingard anyway, for so many layers of reasons. But yeah, I think it's just strange. Like, do you think an element of it, because of, obviously he went back to Man United for a year and wanted to fight for his place, and that's kind of, fair enough if you want to do that. So do you feel like because of the position West Ham are in now, European football and everything, him then picking a promoted side over is kind of an element of that as well? Being like, hang on, we're getting to this status now.
Not necessarily, because I don't feel like it's a fair assumption of where we are and where Nottingham Forest are. I think it's just literally Jesse Lingard and his money situation.
Right.
West Ham, I think, is smart in the fact of we're not going to pay you a ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah.
Like
break wage structures and that kind of thing.
Here's our set goal, like your set wage, and if you're not going to accept it, that's fine. Go somewhere else, and that's what happened. And do you know what? I think well done to West Ham, because at least we didn't sit there and just chuck loads of money at him for no particular reason, really. Like, I mean, we did, really, because it was apparently like 24 million over 3 years or something, we offered him. But you still sit there going, that's a lot of money, and he would have been our highest paid player. And to be fair, I'm quite happy he didn't come. in hindsight, when I talk about it that way, I go, good. Because you're not going to be the best player, really, are you?
No, you're not. He's not in that situation, so...
No.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult. I mean, if we're going to talk about splashing the money around, I guess that's a decent segue to something you brought up before about Everton, Helen, which is you have spent a lot of money over the years, and it's not... I mean, do you see that happening again this year, or is it finally time you balance the books? And I mean, I know there's a whole ownership saga going on as well. Touch on that as much as you want.
Yeah, well, I don't. From what I know, we haven't got any money to spend. Our declared losses were huge, and we had who was it? Leeds and.
Leeds. Of course, because they were trying to campaign because you were
Burnley.
Burnley,
Leeds and Burnley,
which all got shut down very, very quickly. But obviously, if you're at the point where people are thinking of trying to, sue you and make you open up your books because of your declared losses, then it's probably best not to then go and spend lots of money and advocate the fact that we are financially a little bit screwed. So I honestly don't think we've got anything to spend. I think the ridiculous amount of money was spent over the past, what's it been now? 7 years, maybe 10 years.
10 years since Mashirial has been in, isn't it? I think now.
About $500 million, isn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
It's crazy. It's like Barcelona money.
Yeah, on this Everton team. Yeah, precisely. I think it was the season when we brought in Sigurdsson. Less said about him, the better.
Definitely.
I can't remember who else was, but there was a load of big signings in that window, wasn't there?
It was like Michael Keane.
And we spent, And in my head, I was like, great players. Obviously, they'd done well previously, and then they were just a cack, weren't they? And we just seem to have got in this rut of, like I said before, buying kind of like has-beens that were good, and then they come to us and they're past it and they don't do anything and they don't play well together.
I also feel like you buy people who are 26, 27, you've signed them to 4 or 5 year contracts, which they're never going to leave, so there's no sell-on to that either. So you're just throwing money away. It's pretty much what Man United have been doing for the last 10 years.
Graveyard of Premier League teams at the moment, aren't we? We're where players come to die.
Yeah, well, there's just been so inconsistent. Like I'd put your kind of transfer strategy, I guess, because of the managerial changes. It was very akin to like what you see from a promoted side. But every year, and I mean, I've managed to pull up the season you mentioned, which was 2017-18. According to transfermarket.com, you spent 182 million in that Sigurdsson, Keane, Pickford, Davy Klaassen, Theo Walcott, Cenk Tosun, Nikola Vlasic, Henry Onyekuru, and this is now 4 seasons ago, and apart from Pickford, none of these people are around now, are they?
But when you read those players out, you kind of go, oh yeah, no, they're all really good players. Yeah. Oh, that could be a decent team.
I won't read what you paid for them. I'll read that part.
Yeah, that's depressing.
How much did we pay for Vlasic? I want to hear that bit.
Who did Everton pay for Vlasic?
Yeah.
10 million.
Oh, that's quite cheap.
Yeah,
it's not bad, considering he's still at least in the league still now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been kind of mixed. I mean, it's broke a couple of hours ago that apparently you've got a deal agreed for Dwight McNeil now as well for £20 million.
Okay. How do you feel about that, please? Not you, Chuck, Helen, because I have some views on Dwight McNeil. So I think Dwight McNeil is one of the most overrated footballers ever to grace this planet.
That's a strong claim. I condone the overratedness.
So my thing with him is he's very skillful. I get it.
Correct.
But if you actually watch how he plays, which is grab the ball, either come infield, take about 14 touches, and then go backwards, which is pretty much about 95% of his season last season. It was just abysmal to watch him last year. He's so frustrating to watch. If Frank Lampard can get a tune out of him, then fine. Like, it's a punt that's worth going for. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm guessing he's going to be like 12 million.
£20 million.
No, wouldn't pay that.
No, I mean,
No.
I had things of him for Palace, and I could kind of see potentially of a succession planning or something. There were a few people, or perhaps deploying him as like a centre mid.
Yeah,
I think they have. I mean, Townsend's injured, of course, but you know, if you want someone who's not going to produce, you've got him there.
But why would you go for Dwight McNeil if Maxwell Cornet's cheaper?
Oh, because he's actually come out and said, "Yeah, I spoke to Jesse Lingard, and Everton are my last resort as well." His what is it? Release clause. It doesn't apply to Everton. Obviously, you've also, I mean, if we're going to talk about Burnley, you've also picked up James Tarkowski and Ruben Vinagre, or Robin Vinegar, if you're translating into English, on loan transfers and a free transfer for Tarkowski. Do you think that helps things, Helen?
We were talking about this before, weren't we? And you were saying, like, oh, why do you need them? You've got players
terrible
in this
defenders.
position. But precisely, our defence last season was horrendous. Like, all you needed to do to score against us was get a set piece, and boom, you've got a goal. So if they're all not performing, then surely we need to look at replacements.
To a degree, I agree with you on the Tarkowski one, because you can move Mason Holgate forward and make him and Decore in front. I get that. But the Vinage one, or Vinegar, like, I don't get that one. Like, this is what I was saying to you, is why go out and... Okay, fair enough, it was under a different manager, but Myelenko, you've got him already, right? And you've got in Cuckoo, or Niels and Cuckoo, I believe, is your other left back who went out on loan last season. And the year before, he played a couple of games, and both of us were like watching him going, he's going to be good, and then just went away for a year, and you're like, okay, you come back. But if you've not got a lot of money, and isn't that one of the places that you think, well, he will be a backup? And how is Myelenko meant to get experience in the Premier League if you don't then play him? So you've got a good chance there of getting two young players to get the experience. Fair enough, it's going to be tough for them because it's a depleted Everton team at the moment. But what I'm saying is, isn't there better ways to spend that loan money and the wages that you've just spent on a left back that you don't really need?
We'll find out.
Do you? I mean, Helen, do you think that this may potentially be a reset to then a more joined up thinking type Everton, especially with, you've got your shiny new stadium getting built down in Liverpool, right on the water there. Do you see any sort of plan here, or is it potentially just going to be history repeating himself, except this time you've got no money?
Yeah, pretty much. I reckon that's going to be a shiny new stadium that the Championship's really going to enjoy. So yeah, it'll be. I mean, we'll have the nicest stadium in the Championship, and we'll have more games to play at our shiny new stadium.
That, Sunderland's quite nice.
Will it be bigger than Sunderland Stadium of Light?
Probably not.
No, probably not.
It's massive.
No, I think it's going to be a relegation season. Realistically, I don't think we've made enough changes, and I don't think Frank Lambert's got a magic wand that can put all that together. And then on top of that, we've sold the only guy that could consistently score goals for us last season. So yeah.
That's a point I'd like to bring up. So you brought up Richarlison and selling him for 5 more than you paid for him, or pretty much the same amount of money, right?
Yeah.
And fair enough, I know the market fluctuates, but the thing is I looked at some stats just before this.
Here we go.
Just to see. So apparently a quarter of the goals of Everton scored last year was him.
Yep.
And then isn't it a third of all the other goals were him assisting?
Sounds about right, yeah.
So that's half your goals, pretty much.
Yeah, but then we did have injuries.
Yeah.
A lot of injuries.
But Calvert-Lewin, fair enough, I get that one.
Kangaroo Boy, yeah.
Kangaroo Boy, I get that.
Camden Roo Boy?
Other than that...
No, Kangaroo Boy.
Kangaroo Boy.
Jumps like a lunatic.
But other than that, who's your goal scorers from who got injured last season? Not Czech Tossen, because you know what I mean.
He's not super sub anymore. He used to.
For me, there's not really anyone who has scores for
No,
them.
I think our defenders scored quite a lot.
I was going to say Michael Keane probably has more goals.
Both ends. Yeah, I think he about levelled out by the end of the season.
Yeah, he did. Added a couple of red cards. Michael Keane, amongst this parish, anyway, the miles offside parish, is very much not well thought of. And I'm sure it's the same in your household as well. He's probably a lovely man, but terrible, terrible defender.
Yes.
So you're consigning yourself to relegation, basically, this year?
Yeah, we're going to be in the battle, yeah. And I think if it's not an end-of-day game battle, then I think we'll have done well to have avoided it by then. I don't see how it's going to be anything else for us.
So how long does Frank get, do you think?
I think they've got to stick with him. We can't keep on swapping managers. We can't become the new Watford and have how many managers have they had in the last?
Well, they had 3 last year,
isn't it? Precisely.
Yeah.
And if we're gonna if we're gonna start building something and rebuilding and stop the downward fall, you've got to have consistency and just pick someone, stick with them, and let them actually have a shot and go for it. So I hope that he actually stays, because as well at the moment, what better options are there? And I don't think there are any better options, and who would want to come to us anyway?
Yeah, it's also that part, you're probably going to get someone who wants to just prove themselves anyway to potentially bugger off
elsewhere. Yeah. So hopefully we'll stick with him.
Yeah, I mean, I also sadly think you're getting relegated. Sorry.
We were going through before, weren't we? What other teams are going to be down there with us? And I think Leeds are going to struggle. I think Leicester are going to potentially struggle.
Yep.
Yeah.
Equally haven't signed a single player.
Yeah.
And I was talking to my Leicester friends last weekend or the weekend before, and they were saying that some of the players they've come back from injury, like Ricardo Pereira and stuff, and just have not looked the same. And,
no, definitely not.
Then they're like, it's not just that. Do you know what I mean? Like, you've got, so it's not just the fact that they're coming, we had injuries last year, it's now they're coming back and they're not the same player. And you've also got an agingness to them as well, with people like Kasper Schmeichel. I mean, he's 35, but
he's also been sold.
Yeah.
He's been sold to Nice, I believe.
Has it actually gone through?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, so, and then there's always, because obviously, again, they haven't bought anyone, and the talk is Maddison and Tielemans have to get sold before anything happens.
Is Danny Ward their main goalkeeper next year?
At the minute, yeah, there's talk of Bernd Leno, and...
I thought he was down to Fulham.
Yeah, that's still not done. There was someone else as well. Forgive me. Sorry, transfers move quick, don't they? So there was another goalkeeper they were going to go in for potentially. Alban Lafont, who was at Fiorentina or something. I can't remember. French goalkeeper. Similar to Areola, like a decent enough keeper. But his name isn't the same as a word for a nipple. I guess Areola is kind of a good segue. There we go, the nipple that binds us all. To pivot a little bit to West Ham. Aidan, how do you think you guys gone? Could you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello, sorry.
No, that's no worries. Let me just make a note. 34 minutes.
That was a nice segue as well.
Drop out. I know. It's all right. I can save it.
Love a nipple segue.
Who doesn't? Just riding round on them and just tilt and they...
Right.
Yeah, anyway. No, like the vehicle segue. Just imagine one of them, but a giant nipple. This will never stay in.
That'd be amazing. Everyone.
So, fuck you. Every time I go to speak, you say everyone likes a nipple. So, Aidan, how are you feeling about West Ham's kind of transfers and then going forward? Because the big one this morning, I guess, is Scamacca signing. There was a wonderful video that was done in the style of Gazzetta as well. So I'd recommend getting on the West Ham Twitter page and watching that. That was beautiful.
I saw that. That's amazing. So it was a bit of a roller coaster that summer because you know sort of the ups and downs. So like the Agerd one to start with, great signing. Really happy with him. I'm mainly going off of YouTube clips, obviously, but he looks like a good playing left centre back. A lot of money though, but again, I think it's one for the future. And with him and Zuma together, I think we'll look pretty. Cat kicker. Next year will be good once Agerd's back. Sadly, 3 months out is what I've heard.
Yeah, had surgery, didn't he? Posted pictures. There was kind of news that he was going to be injured. Then they said no, he's fine. And then he posted a picture of himself in a hospital bed. We're like, oh, okay. Yeah,
so that's a bit sad. Areola was always going to happen. I think it was just a matter of time. But again, took forever to get that over the line. And then you get Flynn Downs completely out of the blue, which I believe you did all the hard work on that one, and then we just went, just come to us.
Yeah,
instead.
well, he had met with everything was done basically, and he'd met with us, and he'd even been at the offices and been given like a Palace shirt with his name on, apparently, and everything. But he's a massive West Ham fan. And so I think his agent then used that with West Ham, and from there, it happened like the same day. Everything got done, and you signed him, which I guess, for the future, it was kind of one of those ones where that was like our loss. That was the first time in recent transfer windows where we've actually lost a target. Before, when he was at Ipswich, we tried. It wasn't going to happen and he got injured, so we waited, and we normally do wait for our transfer targets. We're not bothered about getting them then and there that window. And then they'd worked on it for so long, and then West Ham came in and just that was it. But we didn't really stand a chance.
I'm sorry for you guys, but at the same time, it's weird seeing it from West Ham's point of view because we don't do things like this. So again, it's odd seeing how Newman and Moisey are going to work together as this team. So, yeah, and they're quite aggressive this year, and I'm quite enjoying it. But, yeah, I'm interested to see what Skamaka does as well. I've seen clips only on YouTube, so I've seen the best of him, I suppose. But he looks good. Like, obviously he's tall, so he can head a ball, but he's not just that. He looks like he can hold up a ball, and he doesn't. Fair enough. The only thing I would say is he doesn't get any assists, but the only thing I'd say about that is it's probably pre-assists is what he gets.
Yeah.
Because his heat map, when you look at it, is pretty much on the centre circle, isn't it? On the attacking half.
Right. Okay. That's good to know.
Is he the one that they've compared to Ibrahimovic?
Yeah.
One of his favourite players.
Yeah, is Ibrahimovic, and he does play a lot like him in a weird way.
Has he got the attitude to go with it
then? No. He's actually come out and said that he doesn't like the way. He doesn't like the way footballers get treated, as in they're just by clubs. That is, they're more used like assets than humans, and but he seems like a nice guy, which you kind of need to be in the West Ham squad. Like, you can't. It's true though, you don't have arseholes at West Ham anymore. Like, all of them get chucked out because that's what Moyes wants.
There seems to be one big family, don't
it's
they?
One
when
big
you
family.
see stuff, yeah.
I mean, I hope we get a few more in. I'm not looking forward to if we spend like 30 odd million on Zelensky. I don't need that in my life. Kostic is good for 12 million, but I think I want Onana. Is the one I want.
Okay, what, the goalkeeper?
No. The Lille central midfielder.
Right. Okay.
Onana, I believe it's pronounced. But yeah, he's another 6'5" defensive midfielder who's 20. Yeah.
Do you think that's potentially like a future-proofing Declan Rice situation?
I personally feel the reason we're going out and spending quite a lot of money, I thought about this today, is why are we going out and spending money? Is because next year we'll have that money. If you get what I mean?
Right, yeah, right. Okay. I mean, Rice is going.
Rice is going at the end of next season, no matter what happens. So, if we spend the money now on his replacement, then it's already set. It's a bit like what Leicester did with, Vardy's going, so let's get Patson Zaka in.
Yep.
Like, he's pretty much the same player. But
yep. Very, very good. I was gutted about that. I wanted him at Palace.
Yeah, I wanted him at West Ham as well. But yeah, it seems to be going the right way. He seems to have a plan.
Yep.
I don't know if he's going to change it up next year, because we've changed it the last 2 seasons, like how we play. So I don't know if it's going to be a 3rd season of changing how we play, and why we got rid of Pearce and brought in Warburton. Just so we can sort of change the way we play a little bit, because I think Warburton's more possession based. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next year.
What do you think? Where do you think you finish?
Where do we think?
You'll be up there.
I think we'll go 5th.
Yeah.
Next season. Yeah, because I think we're better than Man United.
Yeah. I mean, not saying much.
It's not. It really isn't. But I think we're better than Man United. Newcastle aren't better than us yet. I don't think they've got.
Yep.
I don't think they're yet. Villa are an interesting one, but I still don't think they're there yet. I think they made a big boo-boo by letting their assistant coach go to QPR. I think he was the brains behind that.
Right. Okay.
And I think we're going to be above Arsenal next season, because I think Arsenal won't be able to deal with European football as well as the league. Because I still don't think their squad's big enough for that.
Yeah, they're getting there, but not quite.
Yeah.
And okay, but how about because you're in the Conference League?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you predict with that?
It's hard to predict because, first of all, I don't even know who else is in it. Villarreal, I think, is the only ones I know who's actually in it so far. But
you'll have confidence from this year's Euro run, won't you?
I think we're a solid team, to be fair.
Yep.
I think we've come to that point where this is year 3 of the Moisire, and it's and I think people fear us, and I don't think we're a nice team to play either.
No.
And especially if we get like Onana as well, we're going to be huge. Like we're going to be huge.
Yeah, Souček, Rice, Skamaka.
Yeah,
all your defenders.
Dawson.
Yeah, exactly. Ballon Dawson.
Yeah, all right. It's a bit of a stretch, but. Final, winning it?
I think we can win it.
Because you prioritised Europe last year. That's kind of why the league, I think, suffered a bit.
Yeah.
Rightly so.
But I also, don't you think, though, that last year we had one striker?
For the last 3 years, you've had one striker.
Well, yeah. It's been 1,000 days since we got signed our last striker. Sad, yeah. But if you look at it in a weird way, like, it's going to be nice that you've got Skamaka and then Antonio, and Antonio can actually rest.
Yeah.
Like, when was the last time that man had a rest? Like, and he didn't help himself by going off to Jamaica.
Yeah,
like,
just deciding I'm going to represent Jamaica for a while and travel half the world every 6 weeks.
It's like, dude, you're already playing like 3 times a week. Do you really need to add this to your job?
Yeah.
I don't think so, mate. You're 32 years old. Like, it's crazy, but at the same time, yeah, it's nice to see that we're actually going to have some backup. Well, don't even know who's going to be the backup.
Yeah, or it's also like you said, it's just a different way to play, isn't it? As well, it's a different style of player, and someone perhaps you never know. Maybe Antonio moves out wide sometimes, or
it'd be interesting. You would put like Antonio on the left, Bowen on the right, Skamaka going through the middle.
I mean, I wouldn't want to play against that.
No, me neither.
Can you imagine coming up against Skamaka and Antonio, like 2 absolute beasts, as your forwards? Like, that's going to be horrible.
You might just be completely eschewing the old thing of big man, little man, and going big man up front.
yeah. Well, Antonio's quite short.
Yeah, but he's one of the strongest, if not the strongest player in the league.
Yeah.
He's ridiculously strong. It's mad.
Yeah. I think we're a scary force next year.
Definitely. Yeah, I think it's good. Yeah, have that confidence, especially if you add a few more players in. It just helps, doesn't it, with squad levels. So I couldn't let you go without touching on one of my favourite things, which is tattoo bets.
Yeah.
Now, I'm assuming over the last couple of years, and definitely this season, that no bets have been made.
Yes, they were, my friend.
Well, then how about I'm just going to give you guys completely the floor now to take people through the glorious history of Aidan and Helen and football-based tattoo bets.
Well, it all started in a pub, which is where all the best things start.
Correct.
The year Leicester were looking to win the league, and we were there with your Leicester mates.
Yeah.
And Aidan was adamant that Leicester were going to choke and not win the league. And he was so confident in this that he placed a tattoo bet that if Leicester won the league, you would get a Leicester City tattoo.
Yeah.
And obviously, as we all know, they did not choke. So the first football-related tattoo that Aidan ever got was not his own team. Yeah. It was LCFC on his finger. He did at the same time, though, then get you
might cross hammers on the other side.
Yeah, because he couldn't just have Leicester.
Fair enough.
Then this sort of led to Aidan being stupidly cocky for a number of seasons when he was convinced that West Ham were the best team in the world when they were not at the time. Now, understandable. And so...
Can I just say, though, right,
Yeah.
we had Pellegrini, and I really thought we were going to be the best team in the world. Like, I really did. And I was so wrong. So then I've got...
So then from there we then said he reckoned that West Ham were going to finish above Everton, so it became it started off with that season, didn't it? And obviously Everton were actually half decent at the time, so Everton finished above West Ham.
Yep.
And so you then had to get Everton tattooed on you. And then the next season I said it as a joke, going, let's do the same thing again, not thinking that he would be an absolute idiot and go, yeah, fine, let's do the same thing again. And he did. And so the first season, wasn't it, was we were going to have to get Daffy Duck in an Everton shirt.
Yeah.
And then the next season was you were going to have to get a light bulb. I can't remember why a light bulb. We just decided a light bulb.
Because it was a bright idea.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So then he lost again. So he combined the two. So he's now got a massive light bulb with Daffy Duck's head and Everton written on it, tattooed on him.
That's a must die.
And then the next season, I was getting a little bit gutted, wasn't I? Because I
because
having to get.
I'm still owed
tattoos.
one.
What?
I'm still owed the bath.
Yeah, well, we'll go both getting that one. So the next season, we said, because I wanted a tattoo, but at this point, Everton were just going to win every year. So I am quite obviously northern, and so Bath is pronounced Bath because there's no R in it. And Aidan is very much southern, so he pronounced it wrongly with an R in it, which is always a point of contention in our house. So we said whoever's team finished above the other one, we would have to either get just a back tattoo or a back with an R in it to, end once and for all who could actually pronounce it right. So we're getting just a back tattoo.
Yeah.
And then stupidly
we're still going.
I got a little bit cocky last season and thought it'll be alright, West Ham will choke, it'll be okay. So I lost for the first time last season, so I have to get Hammer tattooed on me, and if Aidan had lost, then you're going to have to get a coffee tattooed on you somewhere. But I don't think I want to play this season. What's that? You can't imagine.
You spent those years waiting for it, and now you've got one. So is that it? That feels.
Yeah, that's it. I'm done now. Yeah, tap out.
Yeah. Do you want a tattoo bet this year, Jack?
Do I want a tattoo bet?
Yeah.
In what form? Because I know West Ham aren't finishing below Palace.
Okay, do you want to get FA Cup?
Oh. Can we take this off air rather than commit this to some actual promise where I have to violate my body?
Okay, off air, fine.
Yeah, let's take this off air because there's definitely third parties involved that would crucify me. For sure. But I'd be interested. I mean, I'd be more likely to take the Everton side of that bet, but let's see. Let's see where it is. Guys, it's been an absolute bloody pleasure talking to you.
You too,
catching up. It's been far too long anyway, just in general, aside from this. But I'm glad it's some decent insight again into West Ham and Everton. I hope, Helen, in some weird way, this has been cathartic for you.
No, it's just been depressing, but thanks.
Oh, okay. Well, never know. I tried. Thank you all very much for listening as well and joining us. The new season, we're so close now. Obviously, we're ramping up our podcast and we'll be carrying on every week. Join us on Twitter at Miles Offside Pod, or if you're feeling a bit flush and you can help us out, patreon.com/Miles Offside Pod. There's all sorts of goodies and extras you can get on there. And maybe one day I'll invite you on something just like this, and we'll get to chat all about football, and you'll be listened to by tens of people. Thank you very much, and goodbye, everyone.